July 25, 1956. Aboard the Andrea Doria, elegance drifted through dense fog. Champagne flowed beneath chandeliers, and confidence hummed in the engine room. At 11:10 p.m., a blip on radar became disaster. Steel met steel, the unthinkable breach carved, and luxury began to list. How did the night's serenity collapse into one of history's most haunting maritime tragedies? Radar beams swept across the dark Atlantic, tracing the approach of two liners hidden from each other by fog. On Andrea Doria's bridge, officers watched a faint blip move along the edge of the screen, trusting in modern equipment and routine plotting. Stockholm's smaller silhouette, fitted with a bow reinforced for North Sea ice, advanced from the east at nearly 19 knots. Each crew interpreted their radar differently. Andrea Doria's officers plotted a starboard-to-starboard pass. Stockholm's team expected port to port. Both sets of eyes, fixed on glowing dials and penciled bearings, calculated safety where danger was closing in. In the final minutes, the fog thinned just enough for lights to flicker through. Orders snapped out, engines astern, rudders swung, but the gap had vanished. At 11:10 p.m., Stockholm's icebreaker bow struck at nearly a right angle, driving deep into Andrea Doria's starboard side. The impact carved a 40-foot wound through cabins and machinery spaces, steel plates shearing open as if by giant hands. Stockholm's prow, designed to shatter ice, concentrated the force into a narrow blade. The liner's hull, strong but not armored for such a blow, buckled inward. 5 watertight compartments failed in a single instant. Water rushed through the breach, flooding generator rooms and lower decks. Andrea Doria heeled sharply, her elegant symmetry broken, as the consequences of a misread radar screen became a catastrophe measured in torn steel and rising seawater. The Andrea Doria's world tilted in a single breath. Water poured through the starboard gash, flooding 5 compartments and sending the ship heeling past 18 degrees within minutes. Down in the corridors, tables slid, glass shattered, and chandeliers swung like pendulums above carpets now angled toward the sea. Crew members, trained for order, found the rules rewritten by physics. The sharp list pinned half the lifeboats high above the water, their davits locked and useless. On the port side, boats hung precariously, swaying over the dark Atlantic, reachable only by climbing or crawling across the slanted deck. Captain Piero Calamai stood on the bridge, voice steady as he assessed the damage. He ordered the watertight doors closed, then directed his officers to organize evacuation, knowing many lifeboats could not be launched. His calm in the face of disaster steadied those around him, even as the ship's elegant symmetry gave way to chaos. Below, passengers stumbled through angled passageways, some barefoot, some clutching children, all moving towards the uncertain promise of rescue. In cabin 52, 14-year-old Linda Morgan was thrown from her bed by the force of the collision. When she opened her eyes, she lay not on the Andrea Doria, but atop twisted steel on the Stockholm's shattered bow, a survivor of what would be called the miracle in the night. With each passing minute, the list grew steeper. Lifeboats on the starboard side remained frozen, out of reach. The only hope now rested with the radio and the distant ships that might answer its call. The liner's grandeur, once a point of pride, now complicated the fight for survival. In the radio room of the Andrea Doria, hands moved quickly over dials and keys. The collision had barely ended when the first distress call, broadcast on 500 kilohertz, cut through the static. SOS, 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 DEI, DARA, IDARA, IDAR. Collision at sea. Require immediate assistance. Position latitude 40 degrees 30 minutes. North. Longitude 69 degrees 53 minutes west. Listing heavily. Need life-saving assistance. The message repeated, urgent and unwavering, echoing out into the darkness. Shore stations and ships across the Atlantic caught the signal within minutes. The French liner Ile-de-France, already hours past, received the coordinates, and Captain Raoul de Beaudien did not hesitate. He ordered a full reversal of course, turning his ship back into the fog. The elegant Ile-de-France, known for her speed and grace, now became a rescue vessel, racing toward the unknown at nearly 20 knots. On the bridge, navigation officers recalculated bearings, plotting a direct line through the night. Radio operators relayed updates, confirming the Andrea Doria's worsening list and the need for lifeboats. The air crackled with coded exchanges, call signs, positions, and promises of help. Each transmission brought the rescue effort into sharper focus, transforming chaos into coordination. As the Ile-de-France closed the distance, other ships altered course, guided by the steady pulse of distress signals. In the hours ahead, survival would depend as much on these invisible threads of communication as on steel or seamanship. Dawn revealed a battered procession of lifeboats and rescue craft circling a ship no longer upright. The Andrea Doria's sharp list had rendered her starboard boats useless, trapping them high against the hull. On the port side, crew and volunteers worked through the night, lowering boats at precarious angles, sometimes lashing ropes to steady the descent. Survivors, wrapped in blankets or clinging to what they could carry, were ferried across the water to the decks of the Ile-de-France and other rescue ships. Each shuttle counted, children passed hand to hand, elderly lifted by strangers, the wounded steadied by silent gestures of reassurance. The numbers told the outcome: 1,660 people saved from the stricken liner, each one a testament to the courage and discipline of those who remained at their posts. 46 lives were lost, most in the first instant of impact, their absence a silent counterpoint to the relief of so many rescued. As the last lifeboat departed, Andrea Doria's lights flickered in the morning haze. At 10:09 in the morning on July 26th, she rolled onto her starboard side, bow rising, then slipped beneath the surface. Even in her final moments, the ship's lines held a kind of grace, a last gesture of dignity before the Atlantic claimed her. The sea closed over the wounds and the rescue was complete, leaving only memory and the cold certainty of numbers. Investigators traced the cause of the disaster to a chain of human and technical failures. On both bridges, officers relied on radar images but neglected to plot the other ship's course with a maneuvering board, a simple tool that could have clarified each vessel's path. Instead, they interpreted shifting radar echoes by eye, leading Andrea Doria's crew to believe Stockholm would pass safely to port. while Stockholm's officers expected the opposite. Testimonies from the inquiry revealed that formal radar training was limited, and procedures for bridge communication were inconsistent. Orders and assumptions went unchallenged in the quiet tension of the fog-bound night. The absence of standardized protocols left room for error, and overconfidence in the new technology replaced the discipline of traditional navigation. The collision was not the result of a single mistake, but of mutual misreading and gaps in training. Systemic faults that rendered advanced equipment useless in the hands of a divided crew. In the years after Andrea Doria vanished, the world's shipping lanes grew safer, shaped by lessons drawn from her loss. New rules required every officer to complete radar observer courses. No longer could a bridge rely on intuition alone. The adoption of automatic radar plotting aid, known as ARPA, replaced guesswork with precise digital tracking, making it possible to plot a ship's course and speed at a glance. Lifeboat design changed as well. International standards now demanded that boats be launchable even when a ship tilted steeply, a direct answer to the tragedy of half the Doria's craft left stranded high above the waves. These reforms were written into the safety of life at sea conventions, turning hard-won experience into global protocol. Far below, at a depth of 240 feet, the Andrea Doria's remains draw divers from around the world. Among them, she is known as the Ghostly Cathedral, a place where steel arches and silted corridors hold both relics and memory. The debate endures. Is she a memorial to the lost or a challenge to be explored? Each visit renews the question, reminding us that the price of progress is never truly paid in full. At 10:09 in the morning on July 26, 1956, the Andrea Doria disappeared beneath the Atlantic, taking 46 lives and leaving 1,660 survivors, rescued in one of maritime history's most complex operations. Investigations documented that both crews misread their radar bearings and found that training gaps and overconfidence played a central role in the disaster. Yet questions remain, some crew testimonies conflict, and the precise sequence of last-minute decisions on both bridges is still debated in official transcripts. In response, international maritime law was changed. Radar observer certification became mandatory. New automatic radar plotting aid systems were adopted, and lifeboat design was overhauled to ensure deployment even at severe angles. Today, the Andrea Doria rests at 250 feet, visited by divers and remembered as a turning point in sea safety. The evidence endures. Even the most advanced technology requires vigilance, and the lessons of the Andrea Doria continue to shape how ships and lives are protected at sea.